All right, you grasshoppers. That's right. He is back. The one and only Bob Bazzini, 26 years in the Navy, awarded the Bronze Star. Very good friend of mine now, both on the board of the Warrior for Life Fund. Very proud to be a part of that. And Bob has got his leadership forum that he puts on as well. So great to see you there, bud. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Tom?
Good. Yes, I'm doing excellent. We were just chatting off before we got going here. We did a show earlier on with this Allison Krug, and a good friend of Bob and become a good friend of mine. And really knowledgeable. We're going to have her on again, and she's going to discuss all the pandemic and the vaccine and all that kind of stuff and all the science behind it. She's fantastic, real piece of work. She's we think we go pretty hard. She's funny. She's always on the go.
Yeah, she's done a great job at our rink, helping us get open, stay open, close for a 2-week period while we did a little cleanse and a little inventory, and then reopen. She's an epidemiologist by trade, and one of those very engaged. She's a hockey mom. You know, both of her sons play. One of her sons is a high schooler, so he's on the opposing team. But we augment each other from time to time. So he's a defenseman. He's a good player, good skater.
So again, just to make sure everybody's aware, Bob, again, 26 years in the Navy, serving our country. And again, thank you very much for that. And again, winning the Bronze Star. Lives retired now, living down in Virginia Beach, coaching kids hockey, has his own iFly, one of those places where you're simulating. Am I saying that, Chris? Simulating skydiving? Is that the proper?
That's right. Yeah. You said pretending about 2 months ago, but yeah, simulating skydiving. Perfect.
That's it. That's better. All right. Today, it's one of the things I was talking to somebody the other day, and this phrase came up: learning to learn. And I started thinking a lot about it. And man, that's one of the things that took me a long time to learn how to do. Like, I was stubborn in the past, and that stubbornness, I think, maybe serves you well in some areas. Like, it helped me get to the National Hockey League. But then I remember at the end of my career, I'd hurt my back. I just felt like this. I was going to do exactly what I'd always done in my career, and that's I'm not going on the trainer's table. You know, I know what I'm doing, and just and I look back at it now, and I had a great coach with me, Rick Wilson, who was constantly. He'd had a bad back when he played. He says, "Tom, I know what you're thinking, but you've got to change. You got to change." And I was, "Nope, I'm not changing." And again, I thought that was the right thing to do, to not change, to keep being stubborn. But I learned now to learn. And especially during this pandemic, I've learned so much stuff now that I didn't know going into it. So I just thought it was a fascinating topic when you and I were thinking of what we should talk about today.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. It's because every time we talk, the similarities between your NHL career and my military career, they just come bubbling to the surface. So you just said that, no, I'm not going on the trainer's table. I'm doing what I do. And throughout my military career, and many of my brothers in the military, we don't want to go to medical. We have an ailment. We have something that hurts, something that could be seriously injured. But if we go to medical, they're going to take us out of the game. And you'll be on what's called a NPQ, not physically qualified list, and that could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. If it exceeds 30 days, you start to lose your special pays. We get paid we get parachute pay, we get demolition pay, we get diving pay. And if you're NPQ for a period of time, you start to lose those pays, and then you start to lose qualification after a certain point, and you have to earn all those qualifications back. So yes. However, I wish I would have paid more attention to those visits when I was on active duty, because I really beat myself up over the years, and I'm paying the price now, but I'm also kind of rehabilitating.
And don't you think with this learning to learn too, it's at least I'll speak more for men. It seems like it's a pride issue too, right? It's like if somebody's teaching you something, it's almost like you're saying, well, geez, I should know that. You feel less of a person, less of a man if you're having to learn something, especially after you've gotten to a certain age, right? You think I should know that already, right?
Well, that's very prevalent in your 20s and your 30s. It's almost like omnipresent, but somewhere in your mid 40s, you start to say, you know what? I don't know that. I should know that. And it's called BTS, behind the scenes. Hey, I should know that. I probably knew that at some point, but I don't know it now. Can you help me out?
Right. Yeah, it's a sign of weakness, right? I don't want to help. Geez, I don't want somebody to help me, right?
After you get beat down enough, the sign of weakness thing, you for me anyway, I'm over that. You know, if I don't know something, or if I used to know it, I used to be good at it, I'm not good at it anymore. I used to be better at it than this person. Now they're better than me. Hey, help, please help. We're all here together.
I noticed that, I think I've told you about this before. We did for that swim across the Hudson. I know there's some other SEAL guys that you knew that participated in that. And we did a promo show for it. And we had this Kenny Bigby Jr. as a retired SEAL. And we got talking with a couple of the guys. And I used the example, like, in hockey, you're talking about closing the gap, right? So you've got an offensive player coming at you, your defensive player. You want to close the gap. Don't back off and give him room to do what he wants to do. And we use that analogy with something going on in your life, something bad in your life. Don't sit there and let it come at you. Go close the gap on it. And I noticed with Kenny, I said that to him, and he goes, "Wow, that was pretty cool." And then we talked a while later, and he had used that as some of his teachings with other people. And he says that was really cool the way you put that. And I thought, he's such a confident man. I think that's a big part of it, right? He's a confident man. He's trained as a SEAL, same as you. You've done your years in the service there. So you believe in yourself now. So you're stronger now to accept that help, right? Doing things like that insecurity sometimes of people where it's that weaker person. I shouldn't say weaker person. That's the wrong way to put it, but less secure person has a harder time accepting that help.
For sure. You can be overconfident, and you can be overconfident to where you're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting others. There's something called metacognition, which means thinking about thinking. And if you apply metacognition, if you are metacognitive, you're analyzing your thoughts. You're saying, was I right? Am I thinking in the right direction here? Or you're saying, I did that wrong. Why did I arrive at the wrong decision, the wrong conclusion? How did I mess that up? How did I do well? Or how did it not go as I thought it was going to go? But you have to think about that. You have to review that. And that's where you emerge as a leader or individual based on what it is you're striving for. You said something too about the team guy. You said close the gap, right? Also in martial arts or combatives, you want to close the gap. If you stand back somebody adequate distance punches, they're up and crank off a good punch, or if they have a weapon and they have time to. But if you close the distance, like get shoulder to shoulder, then they have no room to throw a punch or no room to swing a club or a bat or something like that.
Right. That is pretty cool too. Yeah, it is a funny analogy, right? Because for so many years in hockey, that was my job, right? I was a defensive defenseman, and I got to be really good at closing that gap and really being aggressive defensively. And I think that is the same way with life, right? If there is a problem in your life, be aggressive with that problem, right? Don't sit back and let the problem dictate the time schedule when something's going to happen. The problem's there, it's there. You've got to go make your decision. Okay, I'm going to end this problem right now.
Yeah, you have to. Otherwise, it just sits on your shoulder and eats at you over time, right? And what most people notice, and this has been written about, there's volumes written on this, but that little problem, that problem that you perceive as a big problem, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more you ignore it.
Yeah.
But when you actually address it, it was not that big a deal to begin with,
Totally. Yeah, especially right by waiting on it and letting it build, it may become bigger, look bigger to you, right? But if you actually take care of it, yeah. So learning to learn, Bob. So all right, you get somebody that's younger, maybe in their 20s or whatever. Do you believe there's ways they can train themselves to accept that learning or to reach out to people and get help?
They can for sure, but first it's a mindset. The mindset, the willingness to learn has to be there. And I know you've heard this probably throughout life, and I've heard it, I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've fostered it, and it is, if somebody's coachable, they're going to be a good player. If somebody is willing to learn, they're willing to let you coach them, willing to try the new, crossover, cross under when you're skating your weight. They're going to fall down the first 10 times they try the new maneuver. Every time they fall down, they're learning. And so, younger people, especially if they're open to that learning, they're going to do great. And lifelong learning is one of my 6 key attributes of what I call the science of leadership. But if you're willing to learn, your chances are you're going to be highly successful. It's those that are resistant. So to your point, step number 1 is the person has to be willing to learn. They have to be a willing student or a willing participant. I find that's the hardest, that's the biggest challenge right there. Once you get beyond that, you can make some good progress.
Right. And again, there's one of those things. Don't beat yourself if you're young. Don't beat yourself up over the fact that maybe you're not there yet. I think back when I was in college, I was a pretty player, as captain of the team, but I couldn't shoot the puck. I couldn't break a wet paper bag with my shot when I was in college. It was funny. So this one guy on the team had a really good shot, and he was a good friend of mine and everything. And the coach said, well, why don't you have Jeff Taskoff was his name. Great guy, great teammate and everything, but a cannon for a shot. Wasn't a real big guy. So he was trying to help me with my shot. Well, I got to the point where I almost went berserk because I could not get it. I was wanting to learn, but I couldn't pick it up. I think that's another part of it too, that accepting the fact that in that process of learning, you're not going to get it right away. I didn't understand that back then. I wanted to learn how to shoot the puck in 5 minutes, and it just, seriously, I got so berserk. They said, okay, we're not doing it anymore because Tommy's losing his mind, But that is to learn that, to say, okay, learning is a process. You're not going to learn what you want to learn in 5 minutes, right?
No, not at all. And, in the classic military teaching and the way I apply instruction in my business or with Elevate Your Leadership or with iFly Virginia Beach, you have classroom, then you have laboratory, then you have field, right? So Navy Dive School, I taught Navy Dive School for 3 years. I was an instructor. Our Navy Dive School students come into the classroom. We talk about the physics of diving or the medicine of diving. We talk about all these principles. Then we go into a laboratory. In our case, the laboratory would be the pool, or what we call the training tank. So we're not out in the open water with sea state and weather and large vessels and other vessels and hazards on the bottom of the ocean. We're in basically a big swimming pool. So classroom, laboratory, swimming pool, and then you transition out to the field or open water.
That's pretty cool. So I was thinking of something when I trained to go on Survivor. I had a trainer friend of mine who's really good, and he was trying to get me to be more aware of my surroundings all the time. So I would go to his gym. He would line up. He had like 5 cones of all different colors, and he would put them in a certain order. Now, he wouldn't tell me to look at the cones. I would just walk in the room, have fun. Hey, how you doing? And then he would have me turn around and say, okay, what's the order of the cones? Like, what do you mean the order of the cones? You didn't tell me to check the order of the cones. So he was, and we would go through that. So now and I find myself this way now that I'm more willing to be aware of what my surroundings are, like looking to learn. Like I'm looking to learn things instead of just waiting for the learning to come to me. It's like I kind of retrain my brain a little bit. Constantly, and this pandemic actually in many ways has been fantastic for me. And I've learned so much more stuff about my diet. We talk about fasting all the time. Fitness, all other things of working out and everything. So it's just, I really think, like you said earlier, you can really train your mind, just like you train your body, to be more of that person who's looking to learn constantly, reading books all the time. Instead of watching TV, you get on YouTube now and watch all kinds of videos on how to do things. So I found myself, I've really trained myself, and I think other people can do as well.
Yeah. When I'm on active duty, one of the things we did as Navy bomb, as EOD teams, we had a course, and it was a memory course. And the course started with running, sprinting maybe a 100-yard dash. And at the end of that 100-yard dash, there would be something similar to a suitcase. And we would open up that suitcase, and there would be 9 items in that suitcase. And I had to take a mental picture of those items, and I had to memorize as many characteristics about those items as I could. For example, there would be a camera. It appeared to be a 35 millimeter lens. It appeared to be a battery operated camera. It appeared to be in working condition. Then next to the camera, there would be a mousetrap. The mousetrap would be, it would function in this manner. It was roughly this size. It was cocked or it wasn't cocked. And then various other items. So 100-yard dash, open that suitcase, take a mental image of those 9 items, try and get as many key ID features as I could of those 9 items. Then another pull-ups maybe, and then start drawing or start noting the items I saw in that briefcase.
Right.
Then another 100-meter dash, and they'd be like you said, the cones are set up in a certain way, this size, this color, whatever. So there was these stress courses that had a memory drill, basically, as the key component of the stress course.
Well, and to have your heart rate elevated like that too makes it even tougher, right?
Makes it tougher. However, there is the neuroplasticity factor that we've talked about before. When your heart rate is elevated between 60 and 85% of your age recommended maximum, the brain becomes much sharper. It's called neuroplasticity. It's the brain's ability to grow, change, adapt, heal. So the brain becomes, you have your great ideas either during or after an exercise session, or in the shower, right? I had a good buddy who wanted to put a whiteboard in a shower because his good ideas always came during the shower.
Oh, is that right?
And I was like, well, what'd you do before the shower? He goes, oh, I was at the gym.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And did you find by doing those drills that your ability to remember those items got better and better?
Over time, and not necessarily those items. It's what you observe in general. Going forward, those were like those drills were like lifting weights, right? That you're developing some super solid memory capabilities, but the actual application comes in a less stressful environment. You don't have to memorize 9 things. You have to pay attention to what the heck's going on around you in this austere environment.
Right. And you just get more used to being that person that's just aware of what's going on around you. Like you walk into a room now and you're more aware of everything, right?
Exactly. Yeah. We tried, we used to call it 360-degree vision or view, but you want to try and have as much as you can a 360-degree view on.
Right. That's pretty cool. Like you think about it too, like, we've talked before when you and I first met, we had a board meeting down in Virginia Beach for the Warrior for Life Fund. And I find myself more like, I said this to you, kind of analyzing everybody in the room and getting with them. And you really stood out to me, the way you spoke and everything. It was so I find myself a lot more like that. And I don't know people, minute surroundings, instead of just kind of being nervous or whatever in the room. Like really, okay, engage with these people, right, and figure out what's going on. So
yep, cool. Engagement is what it's all about. Absolutely. Plus, you guys were in my house, so I had the home ice advantage.
Any house you're in is your house. What are you talking about? You walk in the room, you own the room. What are you talking about? You own it. I love this stuff. I got to tell you, I know I'm older than you are, but I guess in some ways it took me longer to figure this stuff out. But I just love. I guess sound a little bit. It might sound a little arrogant when I say this, but I love myself better now, the version of who I am, because of this kind of stuff. That I'm more willing and being around guys like yourself. Confident people who are willing to learn things. I just find yourself, man, I know more now. Like, and people are coming to me for help. People come to you for help because we've learned more stuff from each other.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you, there's something called unconscious incompetence, and basically what that means is I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
And the best example I can give you is like a 5-year-old. A 5-year-old could care less about driving a car. Right. So a 5-year-old doesn't know that at some point he or she's going to have to learn how to drive, and they could care less about it. So that's unconscious incompetence.
Right.
When that 5-year-old becomes 14 or 15, they know that they need to learn how to drive.
Right.
So that becomes conscious incompetence. I know what I don't know. I know that I need to learn how to drive. Then you have conscious competence. But now we had our 6th birthday. We went to driver's ed. We took the test. We know how to drive, right? So conscious competence, meaning I know I needed to learn how to drive. I learned how to drive, and here I am driving. However, that 16-year-old really has to pay attention to the rules of the road, as opposed to somebody who's been driving for 30 or 40 years. And that would be called unconscious competence. Right? If you've been driving for 30 or 40 years, you don't even think about it. You're unconscious about it, but you're competent at driving.
Right.
So
I get a great motivational when I'm working out. I got those motivational things on Spotify. And the one speech, one part of it, they call it thoroughly blissful ignorance. So like you're more than happy to acknowledge that you don't know everything, and there's a lot of things to learn. I thought it was pretty cool way of putting it, right?
For sure. And without a doubt, I am say when I don't know things.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you got to stop stuff. You got to go, just ask for help.
Yeah.
Ask them, what's that? Or.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I'll give you a quick little example. And it was kind of a funny story. I had a friend of mine was in the city on the weekend, and Manhattan, a lot of the restaurants are closed. So we are going to go over to drive over to Hoboken, which is just, really just 5 minutes away. You just go through the tunnel. So I my car with Connecticut plates on it. And I'd received a notice back in June that my registration had expired, but because of the pandemic, we didn't have to renew it right away. But and because there's so much going on, they really didn't have a date. But I should get on the website and once in a while to check and see when my registration is going to expire. So of course, thinking I know everything, I get the car, drive over to New Jersey, park the car at the restaurant, and come out. The car's gone. It got pulled. So they ran the plate, and my registration had expired, and they towed the car. Of course, I come home. I'm thinking, oh, they're wrong. They don't know what they're doing. I come home, and I get online. And I say, well, the registration expired December 31st, 2020. So here it was, January 9th. Another one of those cases where I go. But I think it was funny though. Like now, instead of getting mad about it, I was kind of like, yeah, that's the Tom. I mean, you screwed up. It was your fault. Nobody else to blame. I did it. So it is funny the way you change as you're learning more. Is okay? It's nobody else to blame. It was all Tom's fault. So.
Yeah. When you can accept responsibility and say, well, that one was on me. You can get past it a lot quicker as well.
It's funny. Went over to the police station, and I felt bad for the police officer. He was a really nice guy, and he thought I was going to lose my mind, and he was like almost apologetic. I guess it's your registration. It's not really you haven't committed some big crime or whatever.
Yeah, you're not going to jail.
Yeah, and I said, don't worry about it. It's my deal. Nothing to do about it. So it was funny. I was more laughing at myself.
Yeah. Did they check the pictures on the post office wall just to make sure?
Hey, I was keeping my head down like this so they couldn't see it. Funny stuff. How's the hockey going? Did you say you had to shut down?
Well, we did back in November. We did a 2-week shutdown in November, but we're fully recovered from that. No, it's going really well. We had I'll tell you, a crawl, walk, run, right? So we had our 6th game of the season this past weekend, and it was our first win. So we're 1-5, but the progression, right? I look at the shot clock. Shots for, shots again. The score, you pay some attention to, but not too much. But every game we played, they got less and less and less shots on us, and we got more and more shots on them. Okay. This last game, we won 5-1. We outshot them 35-11.
Wow.
And so now the next team that's been giving us a hard time, the Peninsula, I told my team it's time to beat those guys. It's time to win. Yeah. We're there. So it's great.
Now they got a taste of it too. Now they know they can win.
Yeah.
How's everything with the virus down there in Virginia Beach?
I think it was Friday. This past Friday, we had 500 new cases on that day alone, which is a record in Virginia Beach. So the numbers are high. They're not as staggeringly high as everywhere else in the rest of the country, but they're high in the state of Virginia. They're high in Virginia Beach. We are applying the protocols properly at the rink. We're doing it right, and I'm very confident that we're doing it safely and we can continue to do it. But these numbers continue to go up, and it's a pain in needs to come to an end. I mean, we got out there, we have herd immunity being developed. Let's get this damn thing behind us.
No, I agree. How's it affected the military community? Has it been any worse or any different with them?
You said the military?
Yes.
Yeah. No, what's going on with the military is they have what's called restriction. So family members, as well as the active duty personnel, were not allowed to go to movies, go out to eat, go have any form of amusement or recreation. They had to go to work, go to the grocery store, and stay home. And that restriction of movement was applied heavily on the onset of COVID, back in probably the May timeframe. Then they eased it in June or July, and then they tightened it up again, I want to say November or so, and I think it's finally starting to loosen. So, so that affects, I mean, just think if you're ordered to be cooped up in your house, that can really get old in a very, very short period of time. But I think they're starting to relieve that a little bit and get people back out there.
All right, guys, great topic today. I like this learning to learn, right? And it's like, I really believe it's like to make a conscious effort to teach yourself how to learn, right? Maybe some people already got it, you don't have to worry about it. But I know for me, I really had to train myself to learn and accept the fact. And again, I think part of it is getting more confident as a person, right? You believe in yourself. You say, listen, okay, just because I don't know this doesn't mean there's something wrong with me. So I like this topic a lot. All right. So again, everybody, this is just a refresh. This is Bob Pizzini, 26 years in the Navy, Bronze Star awarded to him. He has his leadership camps called Robert, and you can get hold of him at robertpizzini.com. Great guy. And again, what I like about Bob, guys, is it isn't just what he teaches you, it's the way he lives his life. So like what you see from him when he's presenting to you, that's who he is all the time. He's a leader 24/7. So great stuff having you on board. And again, if you want to get a hold of him, he's got camps all the time online and in person. He'll do things at robertpizzini.com. All right, brother.
That's it. Good chat, Tom, as always.
Yep. Take care. We'll see you next Monday, everybody.
You bet. See ya.